Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the book The Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Previous to this meeting of Sanatan and Lord Chaitanya met the householder devotee Ramananda Roy. In that meeting, which is discussed in a different chapter, Lord Chaitanya asked Ramananda Roy questions, and Ramananda replied as if he were a teacher of the Lord. But in this case, Sanatan will put questions to the Lord and Lord will answer them. The instruction and teachings of Lord Chaitanya are very important for people in general. He teaches the process of devotion service, which is a constitutional position of every living entity. It is every man's duty to advance into spiritual science. All these things are very nicely discussed in the talks between Lord Chaitanya and Sanatana Goswami. In the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Sanatan were able to put questions before him, and these were replied to properly. The meeting of Sanatan and Lord Chaitanya teaches us that in order to understand spiritual subject matters, one must approach a spiritual master like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and make submissive inquiries. This is also confirmed in instruction of Bhagavad Gita that one should approach a man of authority and learn from him about spiritual science. Chapter 3 Teachings to Sanatan Goswami. In the instructions of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatan Goswami, we can understand that the science of God in the matter of his transcendental form, his opulences, and his devotional service. For everything is being described to Sanatan Goswami by the Lord himself. At that time, Sanatan fell at the feet of Lord with great humility, asked about his own real identity. Sanatan said, I am born of a lower family. My associations are all of abominable, and I am fallen the most wretched of mankind. I was suffering in a dark well of material enjoyment, and I never knew the actual goal of my life. I do not know what is beneficial to me. Although in the mundane sphere I am what is known as a great learned man, I am in fact so much of a fool that I even accept that I am learned. You have accepted me as your servant, and you have delivered me from the entanglement of material life. Now, you can tell me what my duty is in this liberated state of life. In other words, as we see by this plea, the liberation is not the final word in perfection. There must be activities in there must be activities in liberation. Sanatan clearly asks, you have saved me from the entanglement of material existence. Now after liberation, what is my duty? Can you explain it to me? Sanatan further inquired, who am I? Why are the threefold miseries always giving me trouble? And finally, tell me how I will be released from the material entanglement. I do not know how to question you about the advancement of spiritual life, but I beg that you kindly, mercifully let me know everything that I should know. This is the process of acceptance of a spiritual master by the disciple. One should approach a spiritual master and humbly submit to him, and then inquire from him about one's spiritual progress. The Lord was pleased by Sanatana's submissive behavior, and he replied as follows: You have already received benediction from Lord Krishna, and therefore you know everything, and you are free from all the miseries of material existence. The Lord further replied that because Sanatana was in Krishna consciousness, naturally by the grace of Krishna, he was already conversant with everything. But you are a humble devotee. You are asking me to confirm what is already realized by you. This is very nice. These are the characteristics of the true devotee. In the Narada Bhakti Sutra, it is said that one who is very serious about developing his Krishna consciousness by the grace of the Lord has his desire for understanding Krishna fulfilled very soon. The Lord said, You are a suitable person for protecting the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, it is my duty to instruct you in the science of God, and I will explain to you everything step by step. It is the duty of disciple approaching a spiritual master to inquire about his constitutional position. In conformity to the spiritual process, Sanatan has already asked, What am I and why am I suffering from these threefold miseries? The threefold mysteries are called Adhyatmic, Adhyatmic, Adhibhautik, and Adhaivik. Adhyatmic means cause of the body and mind. Sometimes the living entity suffers bodily, and sometimes he distressed mentally. Both are Adhyatmic miseries. We experience these miseries even in the womb of a mother. There are many forms of misery that take advantage of a delicate body and give us in pain. Miseries inflicted by other living entities are called adibiotic. There are many living entities such as bugs, born of eggs that cause us misery while we are sleeping in bed. There are many living entities like cockroaches that sometimes use us pain. There are other living entities born on different kinds of planets and they are also causes miseries. So far as adibiotic miseries are concerned, they originate with the demigods from the higher planets. For instance, sometimes we suffer from serious cold weather, sometimes we suffer from the thunderbolt, sometimes from earthquake, tornadoes, droughts, and other natural disasters. They will always suffering one or another of these three kinds of miseries. Another inquiry was, what is the position of living entities? Why are they always undergo these three kinds of miseries? Jonathan had admitted his weakness. Although he was known by the mass of people as a greatly learned man, naturally he was highly learned Sanskrit scholar. And although he accepted the designation of a very learned man given by him by the mass of people, yet he did not actually know what his constitutional position was and why he was subjected to the threefold miseries. The necessity of approaching a spiritual master is not in a function, but is for who but is for he who is seriously conscious of the material miseries and who wants to be free of them. It is the day of such a person to approach a spiritual master. We find similar circumstances in the Bhagavad Gita when Arjuna was perplexed by so many problems involving whether to fight or not. He accepted Lord Krishna as his spiritual master. There's also there also it was a case of Supreme Spiritual Master instructing Arjuna about the constitutional position of living entity. In the Bhagavad Gita, we are informed that the constitutional nature of the individual entity is spiritual soul, is not matter. Therefore, as spirit soul, he is part and parcel of Supreme Soul, the absolute truth and percent of Godhead. We also learn that it is a duty of the spirit soul to surrender. For one, then he can be happy. The last instruction of the Bhagavad Gita is that the spirit soul is to surrender completely unto the Supreme Soul, Krishna, and in that way realize happiness. Here also Lord Chaitanya is answering the questions of Sanatan, repeat the same truth, but without giving him information about the spirit soul, which is already come described in the Gita. He begins from the point where Krishna ended his instruction. It is accepted by the great devotee that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, and from the point where he ended his instruction in the Gita, he now begins his instruction again to Sanatan. The Lord said to Sanatan, your constitutional position is that you are pure living soul. This material body is not the identity of our real self. Neither is your mind your real identity, nor your intelligence, nor is false ego the real identity of the self. You identity of your identity is that you are the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Your position is that you are transcendental. The superior energy of Krishna is spiritual in constitution, and the inferior external energy is material. You are between the material energy and the spiritual energy, and therefore your position is marginal. In other words, you belong to the marginal potency of Krishna. You are simultaneously one with and different from Krishna. Because you are spirit, therefore you are not different from Krishna. But because you are only minute particle of Krishna, you are therefore different from him. This simultaneous oneness and difference always exists in relation between the living entities and the Supreme Lord. From the marginal position of living entities, this simultaneously one and different concept is understood. The living entity is just like a molecular part of sunshine, whereas Krishna is compared to the blazing sun, shining sun. Lord Chaitanya compared the living entities to the blazing sparks from the fire and Supreme Lord, the blazing fire of the sun. The Lord cites in this connection a verse from Vishnu Purana 1.22.52, in which it is stated that everything that is manifested within this cosmetic world is but energy of the Supreme Lord. For example, the fire emanating from one place exhibits its illumination and heat all around. So the Lord, although situated in one place in the spiritual world, manifests with different energies everywhere in a whole world of cosmic representation. Representation is but different manifestations of his energy. The energy of the Supreme Lord is transcendental and spiritual and living
Thanks,
entities.
Noel. I think we can pause the reading here and you can share a realization.
Sure, Prabhu. While reading this the conversation between Lord Chaitanya Deva and Sanatana Goswami, I remember this conversation is as similar to as Arjuna, I mean, a conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. And specifically in chapter 8, those three questions were asked by Arjuna, which Lord Krishna repeats himself in chapter 7, Adidevik, Adibhautik, and Adhyatmik. And it is very clear, again, if you go back, uh, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna to perform his duties and not to worry about the result of the duties, what he was supposed to do, which is waging war in the battlefield. And also, Lord Arjuna accepts Lord Krishna as his spiritual master, which we cannot find in this material world, which is full of materialistic nature people. That are two or three things that I can at least summarize from his teachings. Hare Krishna. I would like to continue my chanting. Srila Prabhupada Pranati. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at His lotus feet. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasha Dedashatarine. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, Saranta Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva, delivering the Western countries which are filled with imperialism and voidism. Parisatva Mahamantra. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhara Pandit, Sri Vasakur, and all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always accompanied by his very confidential associates such as Sri Nityananda, Sri Gadadhara, and Sri Advaita, and by many devotees like Sri Vasa. Lord Chaitanya is the most merciful incarnation of Sri Krishna, and his associates are even more merciful. They're always engaged in chanting the name of the Lord, and they're always accepting Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The word Hara is a form of addressing the energy of the Lord, and the words Krishna and Rama are the forms of addressing Lord Himself. Both Krishna and Rama mean the supreme pleasure. Hara is the supreme pleasure, energy of the Lord, changed to Hare in the occasion. The supreme pleasure and energy of the Lord helps us to reach the Lord. These three words, namely Hare, Krishna, and Rama, are the transcendental seeds of the Maha Mantra. The chanting is a spiritual call for the Lord and His internal energy. Hara, to give protection to the conditioned soul. This chanting is exactly like the genuine cry of a child for his mother. Mother Hara helps the devotee achieve the grace of the Supreme Father Hari or Krishna. And the Lord reveals himself to the devotee who chants this Maha Mantra. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे हरे